everyone, and welcome to Get Started Fast with Avid Sibelius 7.5, presented by Avid Blogs. My name is Philip Rothman, and in this 5-part tutorial series designed mostly for new users, we'll go through the basics of Sibelius 7.5 so you can get started fast and make music with it as quickly as possible. For this lesson, we'll cover how to set up and add instruments to a new score. I'll show you how to navigate around your score in various ways, including using the new timeline panel. We'll also go over how to use the ribbon. Just like last lesson, we'll begin in the Quick Start dialog. You'll notice many pre-existing templates for you to choose from. These are called manuscript papers, and they include music in many styles. Scroll up or down to browse through the categories, and click a heading to show or hide it. To search for a particular type of manuscript paper, just use the search box. Click on a manuscript paper to choose it. You're not limited to the instrumentation that Sibelius chooses. Click Change Instruments to add or remove instruments to your score. You can choose from all instruments or from various collections. Click a drop-down triangle to reveal instruments in that particular family for the collection you're in. Or, if you prefer, you can search for an instrument by typing the first few letters of the instrument name. To add the selected instrument to your score, click Add to Score. To delete any undesired instruments, just click on the instrument under Staves in Score and click Delete from Score. You can delete several instruments at once by shift-clicking to select a continuous selection, or command-clicking on Mac, control-click on PC, to select non-contiguous instruments. Sibelius will place instruments in a customary order, but you can reorder them however you like by clicking on the instrument name and clicking up or down under Move. Let's finish adding the instruments, and then we'll click OK to continue. A house style is a collection of fonts, engraving rules, and other settings to give your music a custom appearance. Sibelius offers many ready-made house styles for different types of music. The first term will generally refer to the type of music. The second term is the music font, and the last term, if it exists, is the text font. Let's choose Jazz Ink Pen, and let's see how our score preview has changed. You can also choose your page size and orientation here. Next, we'll choose a time signature, and you'll notice options for less common meters. You'll also see an option for a pickup bar. You can add values to this, or delete what's in the box to start fresh. Leave the box unchecked for no pickup. You can choose some tempo text, or type your own, and select a metronome mark if you like. Key signatures are divided into several categories. Choose the one you like. Finally, let's type in some basic details for your score, like title, composer, and copyright, and we'll click Create. To add a number to an instrument name, just double-click it and type the number. You'll need to do this for the full instrument name at the beginning of your score, and the short instrument name. The short instrument name will be repeated on every system, so you won't need to do this more than once. We'll cover working with text more in our next lesson. If you forgot an instrument during your initial score setup, just type I for instruments to call up the same dialog we worked with moments ago. Sibelius will even offer to adjust the staff size to make the new instrument fit on the page. You can navigate around your score in many ways. Notice the status bar at the bottom of the screen. It includes a slider to help you zoom in and out of your score. You can also click the plus or minus buttons. Various other options are available in the ribbon, which we'll cover in a few moments. You can also use the keyboard shortcuts Command = to zoom in and Command - to zoom out. If you hold down the Command key or Control on PC and you use the mouse wheel, you can zoom that way. Of course, scrolling without the Command or Control key pressed will simply scroll the score up or down. Try holding Shift and scrolling with the mouse to scroll the score left or right. One other nice zooming trick: if something is selected in your score, Sibelius will target its zooming to keep the selection in view, as opposed to just zooming into the center of the screen. The most obvious way to navigate is to simply click and hold with your mouse anywhere in your score where there isn't music or another object. As soon as you move the mouse, the cursor will turn into a hand, and you can drag the score around in the same way that you would move a piece of paper on your desk. Release the mouse to continue working normally. Here are some keyboard shortcuts for navigation. Page up or page down, move the score up or down by a screenful. Home and end, move the score a screenful left or right. If you hold down Command or Control and hit Home or End, you'll instantly navigate to the beginning or end of your score. If you prefer working in a continuous scroll view of your score, instead of viewing it by the page, simply type Shift-P for panorama. You can also click this icon in the status bar. Type Shift-P again, or click the icon to return to a page layout view of your score. I'll click on View and open the Navigator, which is another great way to get around your score. It's kind of like having a bird's eye view of your entire score. Finally, new in Sibelius 7.5 is the timeline, which displays landmarks in your score like rehearsal marks, key and time signatures, tempo markings, and more. Bars which contain music are dark, and bars without music are lighter. The viewable portion of your score is displayed in an orange box, and if you make a selection, it's highlighted in the timeline. You can quickly jump to any landmark or bar in your score by clicking on it in the timeline. You'll notice that the item or bar will flash in the score, in a color corresponding to its lane in the timeline. The timeline's height can be adjusted, and its horizontal zoom levels can be controlled with the buttons on the bottom left-hand corner of the timeline. Like many of Sibelius's panels, the timeline can be undocked, resized, and moved around. Just drag it to the very top or bottom of your window if you wish to redock it. Let's now explore the ribbon, which is this wide band of command buttons at the top of your screen. Here you'll find all of Sibelius's features according to task. The first of these tabs, the File tab, is colored purple to signify that it's special. Clicking on it will hide your score and take you to an area known as the Backstage. This is where you'll be able to save your score, edit its information, print, export, and share your score with others. We'll cover this area more in Lesson 5. The remaining tabs are organized into groups, and you can think of them being ordered roughly in the sequence in which you might perform tasks in your score. The Home tab contains some of the most elemental operations like cut, copy, paste, adding and deleting instruments and bars, basically setting up your score. After you set up your score, you'll want to input notes like we did in Lesson 1. Once you do that, you'll edit it by heading to the Notations tab and add clefs, key and time signatures, bar lines, and symbols. You'll further work on your score by adding text, and here you'll be able to create and edit the many different types of text in your score. We'll go over some of the items in the Notations and Text tabs in our next lesson. At this point, you might wish to play your score. You'll also be able to adjust your score's performance settings and add video here. More on that in a later lesson. After hearing your score, you'll want to lay it out for optimal readability. Here, you can change the page size, orientation and margins, the staff size, add a title page, and make lots of other fine adjustments to the way your score flows. Click the Appearance tab to give your score a custom design. If you changed your mind about the house style you chose during your initial score setup, you can import a new one here. You can think of the tasks in this tab as controlling the look and feel aspect of your score. Once you've taken care of that, you'll make your parts, which we'll cover in a later lesson. You might then review your score by making comments or adding a new version. And finally, anything having to do with viewing your score is found here, as we've discovered already. Nothing here will change the contents of your score. Instead, everything here will simply affect the way you see it. If you know what you're looking for but can't remember what tab it's in, just search for it. Click on the item, and Sibelius will switch to the appropriate tab and highlight the feature that you've chosen. To only show the ribbon when you need it, and hide it when you don't, click this green triangle. Hovering over each of the features will show screen tips, which is a great way to learn more about the feature's purpose. We've already learned a few keyboard shortcuts, and if you hover over a feature to which a shortcut is assigned, you'll see that shortcut, like N for notes. You can also access anything in the ribbon using key tips. To activate a key tip, hit and release Control on Mac or Alt on PC. So if I hit this key, I get the first level of key tips. Say I wish to navigate to the Notations tab. I'll type N, and I'll get a second level of key tips. If I wish to add a bar line, I'll type BL in this case. I can use the arrow keys to navigate within the gallery. If I want to place a double bar line in my score, I'd hit Return. The mouse turns blue to show that Sibelius is carrying the bar line, and then I'll click in the score to place it. Let's do this again. Control, N, BL. But say I change my mind. Remember in our last lesson how I said that Escape was our get out of jail free key? Hit Escape to move back up a level in the key tips. Hit it again to move up to the first level, and hit it once more to dismiss them entirely. I could even hit Escape one more time to deselect the double bar line that I placed. When hovering on some of these items, you may notice the split button. In this case, clicking on the top part of the button will produce a triplet. Clicking on the bottom part of the button will give me some different tuplets. Here, if I click Other, I'll be taken to a dialog to select even more options. Incidentally, in Lesson 1 I didn't show you how to input a tuplet, so let's do that here. You can choose your tuplet either with nothing selected, in which case Sibelius will carry the tuplet. You can place it in your score. I'll just Command-Z to undo that. Another way to choose a tuplet is to actually choose the note first, and then select triplets or any other type of tuplet from the ribbon. I'll undo that one more time. Yet another way to place a tuplet is to place the tuplet in note input mode after telling Sibelius the value of the first note of the tuplet. You'll want to learn the shortcut Command-3 or Control-3 on PC for triplets, and you might guess that Command or Control and other numbers correspond to the other tuplet values that are possible. Okay, back to the ribbon. You can click the up or down buttons to cycle through items in a gallery for a particular notation feature, or click the drop-down button for access to the complete gallery. From there, you can choose your item to place in the score. Let's stay right here for a moment. You'll notice this downwards right-pointing arrow for some of the features in the ribbon. This is a dialog launcher, and it opens up a dialog with more options for you, related to where in the ribbon you are. We won't be covering this in our Get Started Fast series, but you might experiment at some point to see where these different launchers take you. Depending on the width of the window, Sibelius will try to display as many of the buttons as possible. If space gets very tight, like it has here, some groups may end up collapsed. The controls haven't disappeared, they're just hiding behind this consolidated button. Click on the button to access the controls. This wraps up our second lesson. In Lesson 3, we'll get into the many musical elements of your score, like dynamics, tempos, and other types of text, lyrics, chord symbols, clefs, key and time signatures, and rehearsal marks. We'll also see how adding some of these features will affect the timeline. To learn how to create music without bounds and deliver higher quality, inspiring music, visit avidblogs.com/music.